Last year, the biggest problem cotton had outside of a lack of acreage was drought, particularly the further west you went.
Texas got hit hard in particular. In this week's Bottom Line, TWILA's Neil Melancon shows us with record rainfall pouring on us, the irony is not lost on cotton producers who are drowning in it this year.
The Bottom Line is brought to you by the Cotton Board, strengthening the fiber of our industry.
Over the last few weeks, we've seen the devastating effects from all the water that has poured on Louisiana and Texas, with rivers and creeks well over their banks and flooding farmland. This has hit cotton hard, particularly in Texas, where they were nowhere near done with cotton planting. First of all, let's take a look at the national numbers, where it shows the cotton crop is at 81% complete, almost 10% behind the 5-year average, and even 6 points behind last year's drought-ravaged total. In Texas, between Memorial Day and the second week of June, we saw a big jump in the percentage completed, going from 46 to 75% complete, still 10% or so behind the 5-year average. By the way, here in Louisiana, we're at about 97% complete, just a couple of points behind where we usually are. The percentage complete, though, doesn't tell the full story, especially when you consider that up to 3/4 of the cotton acres in southern Texas won't get planted this year due to all that wet weather. Further, some of the acres may have been planting, but what about all that acreage that got flooded? While it's a bit early to tell whether or not it'll be viable, it's sure to see some damage or total loss. The bottom line now is what kind of crop we'll wind up with is what kind of weather we'll have when these bowls open. We know that the rain either prevented planting or flooded acres already in the ground, so what is left will need dry weather around harvest time, and it could be a good crop. What's more, even if the cotton production is strong enough, it sadly may be the cure for lower prices for cotton, which stubbornly remain below 70 cents per pound. And guys, looking at all that acres flooded, you would just think this would be a disaster. But I mean, the fact of the matter is that this wet weather is good for acreage in California, in Kansas, and all these other states. So these farmers in southern Texas and those of us in Louisiana that didn't get the cotton in the ground may have a situation where prices continue to stay down or even lower due to all the excess production.
What kind of surprised me was, with cotton acreage being down so much, that we wouldn't be ahead in the planting percentage. Because you have a lower number, it's easier to get that seed in the ground to cover those acres. Right.
Well, with a lot of that, though, it's counting acres that have already been planted and are just ruined or washed away. And some of it is, we did have that dry spell, so even though we got hammered down here further north, they got timely rains followed by dry weather, so they were able to get it in the ground.
We'll have to see what happens come harvest. Thank you very much, Neil Melancon. Well, that does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when AJ Sabine joins Holly Clegg for another installment of Holly Clegg's Trim and Terrific Kitchen.
Until then, you can watch any of our stories online on our website at twilatv.org. And be sure to follow us on Twitter and like our page on Facebook.
For Kristen Oaks-White and all of us here at TWILA, I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.